I always noticed my wife was acting a little different. She was spending more time on her phone and seemed distracted during dinner. I brushed it off, thinking maybe she was just busy with work or something. But then, one day, I found out she had given my savings to her lover. My heart felt like it was breaking into a million pieces. I could have just cried and felt sorry for myself. But instead, I decided to use that pain to make something better. I thought about how they depended on a certain company, and I made a bold choice. I would buy that company. It was like turning a bad situation into a chance to take control of my life. As I worked on this big plan, I realized I wasn't just trying to get my money back. I was also trying to change my whole future. I thought I did it all. Every morning, I woke up in a beautiful house, went to a job I liked, and came home to my lovely wife, Emily. It felt perfect. But something was off, and I didn't see it coming. Emily smiled at me, but those smiles hid something dark. Our marriage was falling apart, and I was too blind to notice. I worked hard to build a happy life, but I was wrong. I never thought she could betray me. One night, everything changed. I walked into the living room and saw Emily with another man. My heart dropped. The dreams I held dear shattered like glass. "Emily!" I shouted, shock filling my voice. She turned, her eyes wide. "I can explain." But I didn't want to hear it. Anger boiled inside me. "Explain what? That you lied to me? That you broke my trust?" Her words tumbled out, but they felt empty. "It wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't mean to hurt you." My chest tightened. "You didn't just hurt me. You destroyed everything." I stormed out, gasping for breath. As I walked into the house that evening, a chill ran down my spine. Something felt off, like the calm before a storm. My heart pounded in my chest as I headed to the bedroom, each step heavier than the last. When I pushed the door open, it felt like time had frozen. There she was, tangled in sheets with another man. My world shattered in an instant. Trust? Gone. I couldn't believe my eyes. How could Emily do this to me? Anger surged through me, mixed with shock. "Emily!" I shouted, my voice shaking. She shot up, eyes wide with fear. "Wait, let me explain," she pleaded, scrambling to cover herself. But all I could think about was the betrayal. I felt like I was drowning in a sea of anger and hurt. "Explain what? How you threw our love away?" I snapped, my fists clenching at my sides. "I didn't mean to. It just happened," she cried, her voice cracking. "Just happened?" I echoed, disbelief bubbling inside me. I had always believed in us, but now I saw that trust was just a fragile lie. "I need answers, not excuses," I said, my voice cold. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but I couldn't feel sorry for her. The weight of her choices crushed me. I turned away, feeling lost, but a spark ignited within me. I wouldn't let this betrayal control my life. "I'm done with this," I declared, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. "I'll rise from this. You won't break me." With that, I walked out, leaving the echoes of our shattered love behind. I stood outside the house, my heart pounding with shock. Betrayal hit me like a punch. I couldn't believe Emily, the woman I loved, had done this to me. Just hours ago, she smiled at me, her eyes sparkling as if everything was perfect. Now, that same smile felt like a dagger in my chest. I replayed the moment I walked in on her and another man. The sight burned in my mind like a brand. Anger surged through me, mixing with disbelief. "How could you, Emily?" I shouted, my voice raw. "How could you throw away everything we had?" I wanted to scream, but instead, I froze. The world around me twisted like a funhouse mirror. I took a deep breath, trying to gather my thoughts. It was hard to think straight. Each idea felt heavy, pulling me down into darkness. But then, something inside me sparked. I couldn't let her betrayal define who I was. I had to fight back. I felt a rush of determination. I wasn't ready to give up. I needed a plan. Something to take back control of my life. Turmoil hit me hard, like a thunderstorm in my chest. I felt lost, betrayed, and furious. Emily's choices crashed into my world, forcing me to face the ugly truth about our relationship. Trust? Gone. It was like a storm that wouldn't pass, wrapping me in pain and making it hard to see a way out. "I can't believe you'd do this," I shouted, my voice shaking with anger. Emily just stood there, her eyes cold. "I did what I'd to do," she replied, a smirk on her face. That hurt more than anything. I knew I couldn't stay stuck in this mess. I needed to fight back. I started digging into my feelings, trying to understand the betrayal. This was my chance to change, to find happiness on my own, away from Emily's shadow. It was hard, but I began to forgive. Not her, but myself. I refused to let anger take over my life. Every day felt like a boxing match. I leaned on my friends for support and threw myself into my new business. It became my safe space, a place to channel all this energy and hurt into something good. I learned that healing takes time, like planting seeds and waiting for them to grow. I'd to face my feelings, confront my anger, and let the pain out. "You're stronger than you think," my friend Jake told me one night, clapping me on the back. I didn't feel strong, but I started to believe him. I found a strength I didn't know was there. My happiness was my responsibility, not Emily's. This wasn't just about getting back at her. It was about taking my life back. I wanted peace, even if it felt far away. As I took steps forward, I felt the weight lift a little. "Watch me," I whispered, to the empty room, determined to write my own story. The day I decided to take back my life was a game changer. I'd been living in a bubble, tricked by lies and betrayal. Emily's deceit shook everything up. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was ready to fight back. Each day, I felt tougher. I stopped feeling sorry for myself. Instead, I plotted my next move. I could buy the company that Emily and her new boyfriend depended on. That thought sparked something fierce inside me. No more sitting back, I was taking charge. When I took over the business, I felt a rush of power. I met new people, made plans, and built something for myself. This wasn't just about getting even. It was about finding me again. I was turning my hurt into strength. Every problem I faced turned into a chance to show my grit. The heavy feelings started to fade. I realized the betrayal didn't control me. I could rise above it. As I embraced this shift in power, I discovered true strength comes from within. I wasn't just chasing success. I was carving out my future. I transformed from a broken man into a leader, ready for whatever came next. I wasn't just getting by, I was thriving. Emily thought she could break me, I said to myself, grinning as I signed the papers. She has no idea what I'm capable of. While Emily celebrated her new freedom, I was plotting my revenge. I couldn't let her betrayal slide. The hurt she caused me pushed me to act. I wanted her to feel the pain of her choices, just like I did. I discovered her new boyfriend depended on a failing company. It was the perfect target for my plan. I'd saved enough money to buy it, and I did it fast. While she thought she was free, I was secretly taking over the very thing that once helped her and her lover. I wanted her to see what she'd lost and how foolish she'd been. As I changed the company, I felt powerful. I surrounded myself with new people who believed in me. I also grew close to Sarah, an ambitious coworker. She understood what was at stake and wanted success like I did. Meanwhile, Emily started to feel regret. I watched as she struggled without the money she'd taken for granted. One night, she knocked on my office door, panic in her eyes. "I need help," she said, her voice shaky. But I felt no sympathy. "Remember when you chose him over me?" I shot back. The look of despair on her face was almost satisfying. I was in control now, and I planned to keep it that way. As I stood in my new office, the weight of my decision crashed over me like a wave. I'd taken my savings and bought the very company that had supported my wife and her lover. This wasn't just about money. It was a chance to grow and change. I dove into learning about investments, determined to turn the company around while battling the emotional storm inside me. I need to break free from this betrayal, I told myself. My fists clenched. The air felt thick with tension. Every day, I could feel the shift in my relationships, especially with Emily. My urge for revenge pushed me, but I wrestled with doing the right thing. I'd to stick to my values, even as I tried to earn the trust of my new team. "Let's get this," Place back on track, I announced in our first meeting, trying to sound confident. But anger and sadness bubbled just beneath the surface. I found ways to cope, but it was tough. Each day was a battle. I set up meetings, drew up plans, and faced the ghosts of my past. "Why did you do this to me, Emily?" I asked aloud, even though she wasn't there. I channeled my bitterness into strength. I was rebuilding my life, but I had to do it quietly. Like a ninja in the night, I wrapped myself in secrecy, making sure no one saw my true plans. Betrayal stung like a bee, but I wouldn't let Emily's actions break me. Instead, I turned that pain into power. I learned how to play the game of hide and seek, where the prize was my future. Emily thought I was sad and lost, but in reality, I was plotting my comeback. I was secretly buying the company she and her new boyfriend depended on. Each meeting felt like I was winning a battle. I was taking my life back, step by step. With every deal, I felt stronger. It was like a fire inside me. I caught glimpses of Emily struggling without me, and it made me smile. She'd chosen her path, and now she'd to live with it. I knew she'd no idea I controlled her ex's future, but I'd to be careful. One slip-up could ruin everything. I kept my feelings locked away, focusing on my goals. I wasn't just getting by, I was thriving. Each day, I plotted my next move, enjoying the secret war I was waging. I was no longer the victim. I was the one calling the shots. Suddenly, I got a call from my lawyer. "You did it! The deal is sealed," he exclaimed. My heart raced. "Now, let's make it count," I replied, a grin spreading across my face. I was ready to show Emily what I was made of. That night, I watched her from afar, seeing her frustration. I could almost taste the victory. "She thinks she's won," I whispered to myself. "But the game is just beginning." I was ready to unleash my plan and take back what was mine. With the company now in my hands, I felt a rush of power. But trouble was just around the corner. I'd taken control, yet I was drowning in a sea of hurt and confusion. Emily's betrayal hit hard, and I knew I had to build up my strength to deal with the mess she caused. Trusting my team again felt like climbing a mountain, daunting and scary. "How can I lead when I don't even trust myself?" I muttered, staring at the blank wall of my office. The pressure mounted with every decision, and I could feel the weight of my choices pressing down on me. I couldn't let Emily's choices define me. It was time to find out who I really was. "Let's turn this around," I told my team one day, my voice steady. They looked at me, unsure. I had to inspire confidence. "We're going to create a positive work environment, together." Every day was a battle. I faced power struggles with the team, knowing I'd to stand strong. "We need to work together," I urged during meetings, feeling the tension. I was learning to cope, to adapt, but it felt like walking on eggshells. Even as I fought to heal, I realized I couldn't hold on to anger. "I need to let this go," I said to myself, staring out the window. The city buzzed below, alive and moving. I wanted to feel that too. When everything in my life felt like it was falling apart, Sarah burst onto the scene like a bright light. I never thought I'd find someone to lean on during this mess, but she quickly became my rock. Smart and ambitious, Sarah knew the ins and outs of our company's problems. As I wrestled with feelings of betrayal, her support helped me shift my focus back to business. I wasn't just a victim anymore. I was starting to feel strong again. Sarah and I formed an unlikely team, and together we were determined to turn things around. We spent countless hours brainstorming solutions. Her sharp ideas lit a fire in me, and I couldn't wait for our next meeting. Every challenge we faced together filled me with hope. I realized I could rebuild, not just my career, but my whole life. But I'd to be careful. I couldn't let myself get tangled in lies again, like I'd with Emily. Sarah didn't know how much I'd been hurt, but her presence felt like a soothing balm. With her by my side, I began to see a way out of the darkness. I was ready to face the past and embrace this new partnership. Together, we were on a mission, and I was determined to make it work, for my own sake and the future of the company. "Let's tackle this next project head-on," Sarah said, her eyes shining with determination. "Yeah, we can do this. Together," I replied, feeling a rush of excitement. With each problem we solved, I felt the weight of my heartbreak lift. Sarah was my ally, and with her, I was ready to fight back against the betrayal that had once consumed me. Transforming the company became my main goal. I threw all my energy into making it work. I'd to use smart business strategies to not just keep it running, but to make it better than ever. I looked at every part of the company, spotting weaknesses and chances to improve. I was determined to make it succeed beyond what anyone thought possible. But trust was a big issue. Employees were wary of me. They remembered my past and my connection to Emily. I'd to show them I wanted to make things better. With every small win, I gained their trust. I focused on better communication, smoother processes, and making our customers happy. Working with Sarah was crucial. Together, we made plans to give the company a fresh look. We launched new products and revamped our marketing. Slowly, I saw a change. People started to believe in the future we were creating. Still, the hurt from betrayal haunted me. I used that pain to fuel my work, pushing harder every day. Late nights and early mornings became my routine, each one a step away from my past, and toward a new start. I wanted to turn this company into something amazing, not just for myself, but for everyone who believed in me. This transformation was my chance to take back control of my life. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah asked. One day, concern in her voice. "I have to be," I replied, determination in my eyes. "We can't let the past hold us back. We've to fight for this." Every day was a whirlwind as I worked to lift the company back on its feet. But there was something else brewing, something I couldn't shake off. Sarah and I had a chemistry that was hard to ignore. Late nights turned into something more than just work. We shared ideas over coffee, and each laugh felt electric. I'd just come from a messy breakup with Emily, but here I was, feeling drawn to someone new. "Did you really think we could pull this off?" Sarah asked one morning, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Honestly, I didn't," I admitted, stealing a glance at her. "But now, I think we can." We were in sync, pouring our hearts into the projects. But with every brainstorming session, my feelings for her grew. I felt guilty. Was I just going to hurt her like I'd been hurt? I tried to push the thoughts away, but they kept creeping back in. "Hey," Sarah said one afternoon, her voice low. "Are you okay? You seem distracted." I swallowed hard. "Yeah, just thinking about everything." She nodded, but her gaze lingered on me. "You can talk to me, you know." That's the moment I realized I'd a choice. I could bury these feelings and keep pretending, or I could explore this connection, no matter how terrifying it felt. The thrill of hope flickered inside me, but so did the fear of falling. "Let's just focus on the work for now," I said, forcing a smile. But deep down, I knew that was easier said than done. Each interaction with Sarah was a push and pull, a dance between wanting to know her better and fearing the heartbreak it could bring. As we worked side by side, I felt the tension grow. "What are we doing here?" I blurted out. One day, her eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "I mean, this. Us." She bit her lip, uncertainty flashing across her face. "I don't know. I like working with you, but..." "But?" I pressed, my heart racing. "Let's just focus on the company," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded. But the truth was, I couldn't stop thinking about her. The line between friendship and something more was blurring, and I was terrified of crossing it. Each moment was a reminder of my past, a reminder of the betrayal I'd faced, yet I couldn't help but want to see where this could lead. The more I worked with Sarah, the more my heart raced and my stomach twisted. I felt alive, but guilt clawed at me like a wild animal. Every late-night meeting, every joke we shared, felt like a stab in the back to my past. I couldn't shake off Emily's betrayal. She'd hurt me, and now here I was, falling for someone new. "Are you okay?" Sarah asked one night, her eyes sparkling under the dim lights. "Yeah, just thinking," I replied, forcing a smile. But inside, I was in a battle. I kept questioning myself. Was I just trying to fill the empty space Emily left? Or was I really ready to start fresh? I felt stuck between wanting something new and feeling bad about what I'd lost. To regain control, I set up walls, Let's stick to work, I told Sarah more than once, trying to focus on our project. But it was hard. The chemistry between us was undeniable. Every time Sarah smiled, it sent a thrill through me. But guilt followed close behind. Life wasn't simple. I needed to find a way to pay respect to my past while not getting lost in desire. Maybe we should slow down, I said one day, forcing the words out. Why? Are you scared? She shot back, her tone sharp. It's complicated, I said, my heart racing. I could feel the tension crackling between us. I tried to throw myself into work, hoping to push the feelings away. I wanted to succeed, to find my strength again. But the pull to Sarah was strong, like a magnet. Hey, I need you on this, she said, leaning closer, her eyes locked onto mine. I could feel my resolve slipping. All right, but let's keep it professional, I replied, my voice shaky. But every meeting, every laugh was a reminder of what I was. Risking. I was walking a tightrope, balancing on the edge of desire and guilt, and I knew one wrong step could send me crashing. Every day, I saw Emily's struggles get worse. She used to be full of life, but now she looked lost and hurt. Her choices had brought her down, and it was hard to watch. I could tell she was trying to be strong, but everything around her felt chaotic. Every failure hit her like a punch. I remembered when I helped her face tough times, but now she was fighting alone. The woman I knew was fading, and I wanted her back. I hoped she'd find a way to reconnect with herself, but regret seemed to pull her deeper. Sometimes, she'd reach out, but I could see the trust issues in her eyes. It was like a heavy weight between us, filled with desperation. My heart ached for her. Emily had to confront the truth about her choices. Even though it hurt, I admired her for trying to grow. She was learning that real strength comes from inside, even when everything felt like it was crumbling. I wondered if she could find her way back. If she could turn her pain into power, maybe she'd come out stronger. But for now, this was a fight she'd to face on her own. One afternoon, I found her sitting on a park bench, staring at the ground. "Why can't I just move on?" she whispered, tears in her eyes. "You can," I said, sitting beside her. "You just have to believe in yourself." "But what if I fail again?" she asked, her voice shaky. "Then you get back up. It's not about never falling. It's about rising each time you do," I replied, trying to reach her heart. She looked at me, searching for hope. "I don't know if I can trust myself anymore." "You have to start somewhere," I urged. "You can't let the past define you. Fight back." Emily sighed, a mix of frustration and determination on her face. "I guess it's time to stop drowning in regret." "Exactly," I said, feeling a spark of hope. "Fight for the woman you used to be." How could she dare to ask for my help after everything that had happened? I stood there, stunned, as Emily stepped into my office. Her face was pale, and her eyes begged for mercy. "Please, I need you," she said, her voice trembling. It was clear she was desperate, but anger bubbled up inside me. I remembered the betrayal, how she gave away my savings to her new boyfriend without a second thought. "Remember the choice you made, Emily?" I shot back, my voice cold. "You chose him over me." I watched as her face fell, and a small part of me felt a twisted satisfaction in her pain. But then, I saw the fear in her eyes, fear of losing everything. It hit me hard. Still, I couldn't let my guard down. "You made your bed, now lie in it," I snapped. I wanted her to face the music. I was torn between anger and a strange urge to help her. But in that moment, I knew I'd to stay strong. I wouldn't be manipulated again. This time, I was in control. The silence stretched between us, heavy with unspoken words. Finally, she broke it. "I messed up, okay? But I can't do this alone." "Too bad," I replied, crossing my arms. "You made your choices. Now deal with them." Her eyes shone with unshed tears, but I stood firm. I wouldn't let her back in. Not now. The door swung open, and she turned to leave, defeated. But as she walked away, a part of me wondered if I was making the right choice. A battle raged inside me as Emily walked away, her sadness ringing in my ears. I was angry and hurt, feeling betrayed. How could she throw away everything we'd for someone else? But I'd to think straight. I needed to make smart choices. Every part of me wanted revenge. My heart screamed for me to lash out, to hurt her like she hurt me. But my brain whispered that I could take control instead. So, I decided to buy the company they relied on. I was turning my pain into power. It was a smart move. I saw a chance to regain my strength and watch her struggle. I was no longer just reacting. I was taking charge. Signing the papers felt amazing. I wasn't a victim anymore. As I built the business, I faced a new challenge. I met Sarah, who made feelings bubble up inside me. My heart wanted to reach out, but I remembered my goal. I'd to stay focused. Then, Emily called for help. I felt a twinge of sympathy, but I pushed it away. I couldn't let emotions mess things up again. I needed to keep my head clear. Logic was my guide now. "Please," she said, her voice shaky. "I need you." "No," I replied, my tone cold. "You made your choice." Tension filled the office like a dense fog. Ever since I took over the company, things changed fast. Employees whispered in corners, unsure who to trust. I could feel their eyes on me, judging me, wondering about my next move. Emily's betrayal stung hard, but it didn't just hurt me. It fractured the whole team. Every meeting was a struggle. I could see Sarah, my only true ally, trying to keep everyone's spirits up, but some workers shot her suspicious looks. Were they thinking she was my secret helper or a hidden threat? I'd to tread carefully. Fixing the mess was crucial. But how could I when I was the cause? I often gathered the team, trying to create a sense of togetherness. "We need to focus on our goals and future," I said, my voice steady. "Let's rise above the rumors." But I could tell many still supported Emily. Their resentment was thick, and it hurt. Each day brought fresh challenges and new whispers. As I walked through the office, the weight of betrayal pressed on me. Employees were split, caught between loyalty to my past and the new path I was carving out. I needed to take back control. But how could I lead when everything felt so unstable? I focused on rebuilding trust while facing the ghosts of my past mistakes. "Listen up," I called one day, gathering everyone's attention. "We can't let this divide us. We've to work together." I scanned the room, meeting hesitant eyes. "We're stronger as a team. Let's show them what we're made of." But just then, I heard a quiet voice from the back. "How can we trust you?" It was Mark, bravely stepping forward. "After everything that happened with Emily?" The room went silent. My heart raced. "I get it," I replied, my eyes locked on his. "But trust needs to be earned. I'm here to prove I can lead us to success. Together." Mark nodded, but the doubt lingered. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I'd to fight for their trust. I'd a battle to win, not just against my past, but for the future of this company. And I was ready to take it on. Rumors about my past with Emily were everywhere, and soon enough, she started digging into my life. I could feel her desperation. She wanted to find something, anything, that would reveal my new power. She thought if she uncovered my secrets, she could take control again. But she'd no idea I was already ahead of her. Emily was relentless. She showed up at my office, chatting with my coworkers like she belonged there. I watched her ask questions, trying to uncover my life's mysteries. It made my skin crawl. I could see her searching the room, looking for anything that might give her a clue. My anger bubbled inside me. How could she think she still had any hold over me? I kept my distance, watching her every move. When she tried to talk to Sarah, I felt rage flood my veins. I knew she was trying to turn people against me, to gather support for her twisted plan. But she didn't realize how strong I'd become. I refused to let her tear down what I'd worked so hard to build. The more she poked around, the tighter I gripped my own life. I felt powerful, and it was thrilling. I wanted her to feel the pain of betrayal I'd endured. As Emily's investigation continued, I braced myself for our showdown. She was about to find out that I was no longer the victim in our story. "Why are you doing this, Emily?" I finally confronted her one day, my voice steady but laced with anger. "Because you think you can just walk away," she shot back, her eyes narrowing. "You think you can hide from me?" "I'm not hiding. I'm moving on, I replied, my heart racing. Her face twisted in frustration. You can't escape what we had. I stepped closer, my voice low. What weed was toxic. It's over. Emily's eyes flared with defiance. We'll see about that. With that, I knew the real battle was about to begin. I wouldn't let her win. Not again. As Emily dug deeper, I felt the walls closing in around me. Panic surged through my veins. She was on a mission for answers, and I knew my secrets were on the verge of exposure. Each day, I watched her frantic attempts to piece it all together, her trust in me fading with every lie she uncovered. I couldn't let her find out what I was really up to, not yet. Emily, you need to stop, I snapped during one of her frantic calls. I could hear the tremor in her voice. I can't. I need to know, she shot back, desperation clear. Her need for control was evident, but I'd no intention of letting her take charge. I'd turned her betrayal into my advantage. I bought the company she thought she could count on, and I was determined to make it flourish. She thought she could twist me around her finger, but she was sorely mistaken. Memories of her affair flooded my mind. How could she betray me and then expect my loyalty? In the office, I felt her desperation weighing down the air. Her calls came more often, her voice shaky. She was losing everything, and I couldn't help but feel a rush of satisfaction. Her greed had led her to this downfall, while I was climbing up from the wreckage she left behind. But I knew the game was just heating up. I had to stay ahead. Every question she asked brought me closer to my goal. My secrets could ruin her completely, and as I basked in my newfound power, I reminded myself to keep my plans hidden. Why are you doing this? She cried one day, panic lacing her words. Because I can, I replied coolly, a smirk creeping onto my face. How could she not see the trouble she was causing? I stood in front of Emily, my heart racing with anger and frustration. She looked worn out, almost broken, but there was a fire in her eyes that made me more determined. I had to confront her. No more games. I needed to put an end to this. Emily, we need to talk, I said, trying to sound calm even though I felt like a volcano ready to erupt. Her face changed, a quick flash of fear, but I pressed on. I know what you've been doing. You've been spreading lies about me at work. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? She opened her mouth to deny it, but I interrupted her. You made your choice. You picked him over me, and now you're just trying to save yourself. I couldn't let her twist the story anymore. It felt good to finally take charge. I'm just trying to survive, she yelled, her voice breaking. I could see panic in her eyes, but I didn't feel sorry for her. This was my moment to stand strong. I won't be your backup plan, I shot back, my heart racing. You need to face what you've done. The weight of our past loomed over us, but I knew this was crucial. I was taking back my life, and it felt freeing. Emily's eyes flashed with anger and fear. You don't understand, she spat. No, you don't understand, I replied, stepping closer. This is my life, not your game to play. The tension crackled between us, and I could feel the ground shifting beneath our feet. It was time for the truth to come out, no matter how much it hurt. I faced Emily, and it hit me hard. She was a master at playing with feelings. You don't really care, do you? She said, her voice heavy with sadness. It made me doubt myself. I felt like a villain in my own life, and her words cut deep. Every time I tried to set up boundaries, she'd remind me of all the times I let her down. Don't you remember when you promised? She'd say, her eyes piercing through me. Guilt began to creep in. What if I'm the one who's wrong? I thought, tangled in her lies. It was exhausting. I wanted to break free, to find my own way in the mess she created. But her emotional games made me doubt myself. Each time she begged, it felt like a trap, pulling me back into pain. I'd to escape. With every chat, memories of our past weighed down on me. I couldn't let her control me any longer. I needed to take back my power. I focused on healing, learning to trust myself again. Emily's tricks had worked before, but not this time. I was done being her puppet. I was ready to take charge of my life, no matter what it took. Enough is enough, I declared one day. I won't let you twist my mind anymore. The look in her eyes shifted, surprise mixed with anger. I felt strong as I stepped away, determined not to return. I was ready to fight for my freedom, and this time I was in control. When Emily's lover's message buzzed on my phone, I felt a cold shiver. I looked at the screen, heart pounding. His words were clear and threatening. He wanted to meet, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. Anger mixed with fear bubbled inside me. How did it come to this? I had built my life brick by brick, only to see it crumble because of the people I trusted. This message felt like a challenge. I could almost hear Emily's cries for forgiveness, but they were lost in the anger over her choices. I knew I'd to face him. I wouldn't back down. This wasn't just about my marriage anymore. It was about getting my power back. I felt a wave of strength. I wouldn't let fear control me. As I got ready for the meeting, I realized I held the cards. Emily and her lover thought they'd the upper hand, but they were wrong. I was ready to flip the tables. The thought of standing up to him made me feel alive. I wouldn't just be a victim. I'd be strong. The stakes were high, but I was ready to fight. "Meet me at the old park," I typed back, my fingers steady. "I have something to say." Would I really face the man who messed up my life? The time had come, and I could feel the tension in the air. I stood in front of him, my heart pounding. He was thin and had a smug grin that made me furious. This was the guy who took everything from me: my money, my wife, my peace of mind. The stakes were high. I felt hurt and angry. He acted like nothing was wrong, like he hadn't ruined everything for me. "You think you can just come here and take what's mine?" I shouted, my voice shaking with rage. The rivalry between us was electric. He seemed to love making me mad. "Your wife chose me," he said, shrugging as if it didn't matter. I wanted to hit him, to make him feel the pain he caused me. But I knew I needed to stay sharp. I'd to outsmart him, not just lash out blindly. We threw sharp words at each other, each trying to hurt the other. I could see his confidence slip as I revealed my secret. I had bought the company they depended on, and now I was in charge. I saw desperation flicker in his eyes. I was no longer the loser. I was the one in control. In that moment, I realized I wouldn't just face him. I would beat him. The game had flipped, and I was ready for anything that came next. The air crackled with tension as I stood face to face with Emily's lover, the guy who'd crashed into my life like a wrecking ball. My heart pounded, fueled by anger and betrayal. "You think you can just take what's mine?" I shot at him, my voice steady but sharp like a knife. He smirked, acting all tough, but I could see he was scared. "She chose me," he said. But I knew better. The tables had turned. I was no longer the one hurting. "Emily made her choice, and now she's facing the mess," I replied, feeling a surge of power. I'd bought the company they relied on, a sweet little victory in the wake of their betrayal. I wanted him to squirm, to feel the weight of what he'd done. "Good luck with her," he sneered. But I wasn't done yet. "You have no idea what you're up against." As he turned to leave, a rush of satisfaction washed over me. This was my moment, to heal, to rise from the wreckage of my broken marriage. I had taken back my life, and now I was ready to focus on moving forward. I learned from this betrayal. It wouldn't define me. I was stronger than ever, ready for whatever came next. After I confronted Emily's lover, I felt a wild rush of victory. But soon, the weight of our broken lives hit me hard. I struggled with a storm of feelings. Every day was a battle against the anger bubbling inside me. I wanted to trust again, but how could I? Trust felt like a distant dream. Finding closure seemed impossible. I kept replaying our life together, trying to figure out what was real. Change was no longer an option. It was a must. I knew I needed help. Friends and family tried to lift me up, but their words felt empty. I was still alone in my hurt. Facing my fears became crucial. I dreaded being open again, terrified of getting hurt for a third time. I'd to redefine what happiness meant for me. What did it even look like now? I threw myself into the business I bought, hoping it would distract me from the chaos in my heart. Each day felt like a fight against the shadows of my past. I focused on small victories, growing my company, connecting with my employees, and learning to trust myself again. I knew I'd to let go of the anger that was dragging me down. Healing wasn't quick. It needed time and kindness to myself. Slowly, I began to carve out a new path, one where I could find happiness and build a future away from Emily's betrayal. One evening, while I was at the office, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Emily. "We need to talk," it said. My heart raced. Did she think she could just waltz back in? I gripped my phone tightly, feeling the anger rise. "What could you possibly say?" I typed back, my fingers shaking. There was a long pause. Finally, she replied, "Please, just hear me out." I stared at the screen, torn. Should I give her a chance to explain? Or was this just another manipulation? I took a deep breath, my mind racing. I'd to decide. Would I face her again, or would I finally choose myself? Facing Emily again wasn't just about seeing her. It was about facing the choices I made. I'd trusted her completely, convinced our love was strong. But then she betrayed me, and that moment shattered everything. I felt like I was falling apart, struggling with trust issues that wouldn't go away. After she left, I knew I had to do something. I could either stay sad or fight back. I chose to fight. Her betrayal lit a fire in me. I poured my anger into something productive. I bought the company they depended on, taking back some control. But deep down, I wondered if I was turning into what I hated. Every day I questioned my choices. The weight of my actions pressed down on me. I realized every decision came with consequences. I had to face my own mistakes, not just with Emily, but also within myself. "Why did you do it, Emily?" I shouted the next time we met, my voice shaking with hurt. "You were too trusting," she replied, a smirk on her face. "You never saw it coming." Her words stung like daggers. I stood at a crossroads, knowing my next move could either lead to healing or more chaos. I took a deep breath, reminding myself I was in control now. I wouldn't let her win. I had to stay sharp, making choices that could pave the way for a better future, no matter how tough it got. With each moment, I felt the tension rise. I was ready for whatever came next. No more games, no more manipulation. This time, I'd call the shots. After Emily betrayed me, I knew I'd to rebuild my life. But this time, it wasn't about revenge. It was about discovering who I really was. The pain hit hard, but I refused to let it break me. I'd to face it all, take my anger, and turn it into something good. I dove into books and podcasts, searching for answers. Therapy became my lifeline. Each session helped peel away the hurt, showing me not just my scars, but the strength I didn't know I had. Healing wasn't easy. Some days felt like climbing a mountain, but I kept pushing. I threw myself into my work, the company I'd bought, turning it into my safe haven. It was a place where I could build myself back up, both in my bank account and in my heart. I found friends and my colleagues who cheered me on. Their support lit a fire in me. I started working out and picked up hobbies I'd forgotten. Every little thing began to spark joy again. I learned to enjoy my own company, realizing I was strong on my own. Day by day, I created a new me. Not just Emily's husband, but a man who faced betrayal and stood tall. I got clear on my goals and filled my actions with purpose. This wasn't just about getting back at her. It was about taking my life back. I was determined to rise from the ashes, ready for whatever came next. And just like that, I was ready to take on the world. Rebuilding my life was tough. I learned a lot about trust and strength, but I had to face the ugly truth of betrayal. Emily's actions hit me like a ton of bricks. Losing her felt terrible, but losing trust in everything was worse. It felt like I was stuck in quicksand, trying to find my footing again. As I tried to heal, I had to see how our relationship changed. I didn't just want to move on, I'd to. First came shock, like a punch in the gut. Then, anger boiled inside. Me. How could she do this? I shouted into the void. Finally, I reached acceptance. Each step felt like a new battle, but I was learning to fight back. Forgiveness loomed over me like a dark shadow. Can I really forgive her? I wondered. Will that make me weak? But then it hit me. Forgiveness wasn't about Emily. It was about me letting go of the heavy weight of anger. So I chose to focus on myself instead. This betrayal became a spark for change. I realized that yes, betrayal can break trust, but it can also make you stronger. I started making decisions that felt right for me. With every step, I reclaimed my power. I turned my pain into fuel, proving that moving forward was something I'd to do, not just a choice. I wasn't going to let Emily's betrayal define me. I learned to trust myself again and discovered a new strength within. It was time to rise from the ashes and embrace the future. No more looking back. "Why did you do this?" I yelled at her one night, my heart racing with anger and confusion. She just shrugged, her eyes cold. "It's not my fault you couldn't keep me." That moment cut deep. I knew I'd to take back my life. The road to recovery was tough, but I learned to stand on my own 2 feet. I couldn't depend on others anymore. I made a bold move. I bought the company we worked for. It felt like reclaiming my power, a way to rise from the ashes of betrayal. "Look at me now," I told myself, standing in the office that was once hers. "I'm in control." This experience opened my eyes to self-worth. I'd been living in a bubble, pretending everything was perfect when it was really falling apart. I'd to learn to trust myself, no more ignoring the warning signs. As I moved on, I realized betrayal can spark a fire within you. I came out stronger, ready to chase what I truly want. I wouldn't let anyone else dictate my future. I promised myself to build a life filled with real connections and to never again be trapped by manipulation or greed. "Never again," I whispered, determined to keep those lessons close to my heart. I was ready to face whatever came next. I never thought betrayal would shake my world, but it did. Emily's lies hit me hard, and I felt lost, like I was drowning in a sea of confusion. I knew I'd to face my feelings, so I grabbed a journal and started writing. Each word spilled out like a wave crashing down, helping me make sense of the storm. Inside, "Why would she do this to me?" I shouted into the empty room, frustration boiling over. My friends rallied around me, listening without judging. "You deserve better," they reminded me, their voices firm. Talking about what happened was like pulling a splinter from my heart. It hurt, but it was necessary. I began to feel my anger rise. "I'm done being a victim," I declared one day. My friends cheered me on. I realized that closure wasn't just about forgetting, it was about taking back my power. I'd to embrace the pain to find my way out. "Remember, it's your future that matters," one friend said, and those words stuck with me. I allowed myself to feel the hurt, but focused on what lay ahead. Each day was a step toward healing. Slowly, I found peace. I looked back at the betrayal not with fear, but with strength. "I won't let this define me," I told myself. As I stood there, my heart racing, I realized that betrayal had kicked down a door I never wanted open. It hurt, but I knew I'd to turn that pain into something powerful. This was my moment to grow and discover who I really was. I started to set new goals, ones that made me feel alive. No more playing the victim. I was taking back my life. Every day was a battle. I faced my feelings head on. When anger bubbled up, I turned it into fuel. I began dreaming big, not just about revenge, but about creating something amazing. Buying that company wasn't just about getting back at Emily. It was about building my own future. With each obstacle I smashed through, I grew stronger. I surrounded myself with people who believed in me, like Sarah. When we teamed up, my dreams felt closer than ever. She reminded me that I could succeed on my own terms. I saw it clearly. Betrayal, though painful, could lead to something beautiful. I'd the power to shape my life without Emily dragging me down. Finding purpose became my guiding star. I wasn't just healing, I was thriving. My past didn't have to hold me back. Instead, I was crafting a new story where I called the shots. I took the lessons from my betrayal and built a solid base for a brighter future. "Let's show them what we can do," I said to Sarah one day, determination blazing in my eyes. "Absolutely. This is our time," she replied. And we charged forward together, ready to take on the world. I was done with the darkness of betrayal. I was ready for the light of my new beginning. With the weight of betrayal finally lifting, I knew it was time to leave Emily behind. I had to focus on my future, not just for me, but for my growth. I started to plan my life, dreaming of a time when I could find my passions again. Healing from the mess she created became my top priority. I set clear boundaries, determined that no one would play with my heart again. As days turned into weeks, I felt stronger. Each morning was a new chance to discover what made me happy. I realized happiness wasn't about others, especially not someone who'd hurt me so deeply. I celebrated small wins, like when my company finally turned a profit. It felt like a tiny victory against the chaos Emily had left behind. I also knew I had to rebuild my friendships. I reached out to the friends I'd pushed away, reconnecting with the people who brought me joy and support. We shared laughs and stories, reminding me that I wasn't alone in this fight. Finding real happiness was tough, but I was ready for the challenge. I chased my passions with excitement, trying new hobbies and embracing adventures. I was starting to feel alive again. Moving forward wasn't just about escaping Emily. It was about becoming who I was meant to be. I refused to let betrayal define me. I'd rise up, stronger than ever, ready for whatever life threw my way. "Hey, you okay?" my friend Jake asked one day, noticing my smile. "Yeah, I'm finally free," I replied, feeling the weight lift. "Good, let's celebrate your new beginning," he shouted, raising his drink. I grinned, ready for the journey ahead. Embracing change became my lifeline after Emily's betrayal. I was lost, shattered by her lies. It hurt like a punch in the gut. I could either let despair swallow me whole or rise from the ashes. I chose to rise. I realized that change wasn't just about my messy situation. It was about me reclaiming my life. I took charge. Every small step made me feel a little stronger. Buying the company? It wasn't just a business move. It was my way of taking back my power. I poured everything I'd into making that place thrive. As I worked hard, I surrounded myself with people who lifted me up. I learned to trust again. But this time, I used my instincts. I discovered new talents I never knew I had. This journey was rough, but I refused to be a victim. I became the architect of my own future. Letting go of Emily and the pain she caused was tough. It took guts. Every day I reminded myself I deserved better. The hurt didn't disappear overnight, but I celebrated every little win. This was my revenge, not against Emily, but against the darkness that tried to hold me down. I learned that sometimes the hardest changes lead to the greatest growth. "Hey, you okay?" my friend Jake asked one day, noticing my intense focus. "Yeah, just building my empire," I replied, a smirk creeping onto my face. He chuckled. "I like it. Let's get to work." The moment I walked into my new company, excitement buzzed in the air. This was my chance to start over. I took a deep breath, shaking off the hurt from Emily's betrayal. She'd broken my trust, but now I was in charge of my own story. As I got to work, I realized this wasn't just about getting back at her. It was about growing stronger. I gathered a team of sharp, driven people who shared my goals. We stayed late, fueled by coffee and dreams of success. For the first time in years, I felt alive. Each day brought tough challenges, but I faced them, head on. They were my stepping stones to a new life. I learned how to lead, how to inspire, and how to push through barriers. My heart, once heavy with hurt, began to swell with pride and ambition. "I'm done being a victim," I said to my team one evening. "We're going to make this company shine." I watched as our hard work paid off. The company thrived, and so did I. Emily's choices didn't define me anymore. I was more than her pawn. I was a fighter, a leader, ready to take on the world. This new chapter taught me that even in dark times, you can rise again. I wasn't chained to my past. I was free to carve my own path, and nothing could hold me back.